weird, dude.
Welcome into Between the Bonds. I'm Sean Camacho. Thank you so much for watching.
And this is Jacob Waters.
All right. A little rusty. Been a couple weeks.
Okay.
Been a couple weeks. Life happens. We're back. The NFL's happening right now.
It is.
It's honestly more entertaining the actual games at this point. I mean, everything, every single team, everything's going wild, and we are here to talk some football and things and stuff.
Yeah, I live for the offseason, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's the most interesting part of it. So, are you good over there?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to throw you off. Honestly.
No, it's not working. No, I just think you're weird, and I just move on with it. And I'm gonna focus on me and what I do.
Yeah, all you can do is control yourself.
Exactly,
All
and
right.
I learned a long time ago that you're just gonna be different.
Yeah, and you can't control anything else but what you can control, and that's what a lot of players are thinking right now as they go into free agency. All they can do is control what they can control, but us.
And hope you don't go to New York.
Yeah, hope you don't go to New York. Pray that you don't get drafted by the Giants. That's all you can hope for.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be grading every single team's off-season moves. We have some nice little A through question marks, and we're ready to go. Yeah, these are really nice.
Thank you.
We put a lot of time and energy into it.
It took a long time.
And we would appreciate that if you have any shit to talk about our signs.
Keep it to yourself.
Send it all to Jacob, because it will hurt him the most.
Keep it to yourself on this one. I color match sticks to paper. It's impressive.
It's very nice. Very, very nice. All right, guys. So what we're going to do, too much NFL content to honestly talk about. We have set this up for too long. Let's just get right into it. A through F, and that's how we're going to go through the NFL teams. We're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals over here. Couple minor moves here. They did bring in a backup quarterback, Colt McCoy. He's given 7.5 over 2 years. You got James Conner coming back for 3 years, $21 million, getting $7 million a year as James Conner running back. I mean, I want to talk shit because last offseason he was kind of a lame duck signing, and now, I mean, he proved me wrong. I'll put it that way. Zach Ertz getting another 3 years, $31 million.
Kind of surprising on that one.
Yeah,
Zach Ertz is older, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Where are you at with this signing? Let's give the grade and then talk about it for a second.
No, I have mine. I'm going to give it a B. For me, it's a solid B. I don't think they did anything wrong. I don't think that they did anything great. I do think that the Arizona Cardinals are primed for success based off of last year, and that is kind of influencing my grade top to bottom. That's why I gave them the B versus like a C or a D. Yeah. Because I do think what they did was minimal. I don't know if this is necessarily moves to set them apart from the pack, but in the first place, I thought they were there anyways, Yeah,
it didn't do enough for me. I'll put it that way. So, Zach Ertz, we gotta love him, but he has shown his age over the past year and a half, I would say. Obviously, I think...
God, you're such you hate old people.
I'm an ageist. I hate all old people across the board. Yeah, if you're over 30, you deserve to die in the NFL world, basically.
If you're over 30, John's gonna be like, hey, can we go out back real quick? And it's like, no, you're holding the shotgun.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to go.
Look, I'm just saying, you can call me an ageist, you can call me whatever you want. He has struggled just a little bit, I would say, especially with the Eagles. And granted, there's a lot of things.
Old.
That's all I'm saying. You paid him what, $31 million a year? What is that over 3 years? $10 million a year. I mean, can do basic math. Thank you very much.
That's right where a franchise tag sits with tight end market.
And then you have but in 3 years he will be a shell of himself in 3 years. And granted, I don't know we're not going to get into contracts and how
there's a lot of different deals and stipulations here where they can get cut at certain times and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But that's a little too
and then
much
James Conner, I don't believe in paying your running back. I really don't. Obviously, I think $7 million a year is not like overpaying it's not overpaying by any means. But I didn't think that those were the moves that needed to be made. I would love to see them bring in another running back in the free agency. I agree with everything you said. I do think they're primed for success. I'm not hating on the Arizona Cardinals here. I'm just saying their free agency in a vacuum, nothing special. Would have liked another offensive lineman, and that's really where I sit with it.
Well, part of it for me just went into the overall like what next year's looking like, I guess. That I think that they were good to go as is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that they did anything to put themselves in a lesser spot.
Fair enough. All right, we'll move on. We have 32 teams to get to, so we'll keep it quick. There's teams like the Atlanta Falcons where they've done absolutely nothing so far. All they have, as of recording this, all they've done is sign a kicker or re-sign a kicker, Younghoe Koo, to a 5-year deal. Really paying that kicker. I don't give grades for kickers, so we're going question mark.
I don't give grades for kickers either. I went question mark. But I want to give you a bad grade, though, for the lack of effort in this free agency class. Listen, there was a lot of names, not a lot of top-tier talent. There's a lot of names and a lot of rotational pieces, though, and when you are this bad of a team, the Atlanta Falcons are going to be
struggling,
to say the least. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what their over-under is going to be win-loss total, but under 6 guaranteed, I would say. I think they're just going to be bad. I think they're in a lame duck year with Matt Ryan finally figuring out what's going to happen. And honestly, one thing, in all this quarterback carousel turnover market, I am shocked to see that his name has not been mentioned, whether it goes to the Colts, the Saints, all these other teams that are out there kind of looking. You would think Matt Ryan would be worthy of a later round pick to get him.
I'm pretty sure he did like a restructure to stay with Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you have the whole thing with Calvin Ridley, which is just a weird situation. He's not going to be there next year. So like, yeah, this is not a good football team. I mean, it's just not. Top to bottom, both sides of the ball. Like there's has-beens, good has-beens that I think are past their prime at aging positions, and then there's just like not a lot of talent on a lot of different spots of that roster. Like you said, I think Matt Ryan will win them a couple games because Matt Ryan's pretty freaking good still. But beyond that, yeah, very, very unfortunate, very strange.
Any comment on the Calvin Ridley drama before we?
I think we should mention it. Bet on your own team. I think more players are doing it than is getting out there. Yeah. But obviously, it at least makes sense as to what happened last year. I remember, it was just this weird thing where he left for family reasons or whatever. And I guess now it's coming out that Atlanta found out and had to basically let him take. They had to figure out the situation, and it is weird. I don't have a whole lot to say. Obviously, you shouldn't bet on the game if you're in it, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be perfectly honest.
It's a wishy-washy thing for me. It doesn't bother me that he bet on it. It definitely doesn't bother me to know that he bet on the Falcons to win. Other than the fact that's just a stupid bet. I don't care who you are. I just don't think that's good money management. Yeah. If you're betting on the Atlanta Falcons to win, especially when you're Calvin Ridley and you're not playing. I understand why the NFL had to crack down as hard as they did. Yeah. I know you can get caught up, and it is very, very weird double-edged sword when you have Adrian Peterson, and I love Adrian Peterson, but he had that whole fiasco with off the field with his kid and the child abuse that he was in court for. You have Ray Rice, different things, the hitting women, domestic assault charges. We have so much stuff out there where it's been lesser than 4, 6, 8 games here and there, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then we have a year for Calvin Ridley for betting $1,500. The NFL has to protect the integrity of the game, though. You have to look at it in a vacuum. You can't look at it comparing. That's what we do outside of the game, but because that's where you can just chop holes in an argument. But for what it's worth, I do think that the NFL has to crack down on it and make sure that there is no gambling. Because if you ruin the integrity of what goes on in the NFL and people start thinking, man, that was set up, or man, that was rigged, man, that was this, that was that, it's going to change the overall landscape of the game. And I think that's why they did it. They set an example of
this. Yeah, 1,000% agree. I think if you're a player that's wants to bet on the NFL, just have a family member do it.
Yeah,
totally. It seems like it'd be so freaking easy to you go 2 people away from you and you can do whatever you want. Get your mom to place the bet. Like that seems like that's all you would have to do if you really want to bet.
Pylons, all you want if you want to bet.
I will place any NFL player's bet for them for a very, very small fee. Honestly. Yeah. And honestly, I'll probably follow them because they probably know more than me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, about to say, if Mark Andrews comes to me and says, "Man, I like the way the game's shaking up this week. Bet the over on me." I got you.
Yeah, I'm betting it hard.
I'm
telling everyone else to bet it. Yeah, look, we will be the spokesman for players wanting to bet on the NFL.
We'll go down with you. What did Trump say along to any publicity? All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, well, look, I'm fine with it.
I don't care. Crack down on us.
We will take the L. We'll take a huge L. That's fine. All right, let's move on because we just talked for 5 minutes on a team that has one signing and it was a kicker. This might be a long pod, guys.
We're gonna bust it out.
We're gonna get through here. All right, Baltimore Ravens only one signing as of now. Safety Marcus Williams, 5 years, $70 million. Just in a vacuum, signing the safety. I love it. I love it. I like Marcus Williams. He is known. First of all, you love Marcus Williams more than anybody.
I was about to grade Marcus Williams an A for that play that he did against Stephon. Yes.
Yeah.
But overall, Ravens, I think that they have a lot of more things. They have a lot they need to address.
I disagree with that. Well, I mean, I agree with that in a sense, but I think you go out. Their team is always going to be creative on the front end. They're always going to have different ways to mess teams up on that. That with their front seven. That's what they do.
Need to
That's
get that
what they're
wide
known
receiver
for.
fixed.
I do agree with you, but at a certain extent, I don't know how much more we can blame the wide receivers on that. And granted,
Lamar?
No, I'm not blaming Lamar either. I think it gets a little bit more publicity than it deserves for like how bad their passing game is. I don't think it's as bad as everyone kind of makes it out to be. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying they're not a pass first team.
If there is a team where the wide receiver position total like power ranking wise, it falls on the bottom for them. Yeah, just because of the way they run their offense.
Yeah,
but. I do think it would help Lamar out a lot of times if he had other options.
I get that. I do get that. I guess maybe I'll change it to a B.
Sammy Watkins wasn't the move.
Yeah, no, but I don't think that wasn't a big move either. I mean,
no, but that was the move. That's
what they did last year. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like
I get what you're saying. I like Marcus Williams in a vacuum. I like his fit on that defense. Marcus Williams is a really good player. Leaving the Saints, we reference it, but just so everybody knows, he was the guy who missed the tackle against Stephon Diggs in the Minneapolis Miracle. But that was his rookie year, and he was actually playing really freaking good that year. It sucks to be known for that. Yeah, it really does. But hey, we'll move on right here with the Buffalo Bills. No major signings, but some minor ones. I'll let you run through it real quick.
No, they got J.D. McKissick that they get to bring in as a. I actually really like that move too. I think with the way that they use their running back room, swapping them in and out. Roger Saffold gets to protect. Titans were able to save some money on that. We'll talk about them later. Tim Settle, a good piece up front in that they have so many different
big
names
D-tackle,
that they're waiting to hit for on this defensive line, and some of them started to emerge a little bit. And then they got Saron Neal, just an interchangeable corner, if you will. I think they did good. I don't hate it. I like Buffalo for next year, too. Overall success, I give them a B.
We're grading on very different things, I think. Because, like, of course I like Buffalo for next year. Like, their team is going to be loaded.
Yeah.
There's nothing about this free agency that, like, blew me away or, like, I was impressed by. That's why I'm giving it my C.
Is that where you set the line? I look at it as did they address something that needed to be addressed? They did.
Yeah.
The defensive line, I don't think Tim Settle writes anything home for
I was going to say, Tim Settle is a rotational signing.
But, I mean, I don't know what else they could have done to make it happen here. That's what I was saying. It can get a little trivial and dicey.
Yeah.
So if C is your do nothing, in my head, a C is a do nothing. So to give me a D means that they did something and they got worse.
Yeah, I get that. So I feel good with the C. They bring in Roger Stafford. I mean, that might be something. I don't know. I'll give it a C plus. That's the best I can do. I'm not giving it a B, but I'm good with that.
I get that.
All right, Carolina Panthers. Can we grade this on what I think's going to happen? Because I think they're about to go get Deshaun Watson.
Well, if we grade it based off of that, I don't care what they get rid of. They're getting an A on my card.
But I guess we can't do that. Let's talk about what they have.
Talk about what they
Austin
have right
Corbett spent 3 years, a little under $30 million on a guard from the Rams. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super familiar with him. Xavier Woods, safety from the Cowboys, gets 3 year, 15. Zane Gonzalez is signed, 2 years, $4 million.
I give them the old question mark because we do not know yet. We do not know. Their biggest move is still waiting to be played. They have requested a meeting with Deshaun,
I think that's right. I gave it a C because nothing about that is impressive to me. Nothing it made me go meh, but I'm still really excited to see what happens with the Carolina Panthers. Mm-hmm. I think if they got a Deshaun Watson, they would be really good at football.
They would be.
Look, I understand people, there's a lot of, controversy that I've seen on social media just about, like, the man versus the player. And I do get that.
Opinion, bro.
I do get that. We were talking about it online. We were playing Xbox last night. We were talking about it. And I said this, and this might be dicey. This might be, bold or whatever. I don't know. But I look at what Kobe did. And I don't need to get into what he did. But, he changed his number and won a championship, and everyone forgot. I'm just saying, and Kobe is, a legend. I don't want to speak ill of, somebody's not with us anymore, but he had some sketchy stuff happen in his past. We'll leave it at that.
This is going to be one of those things.
And I really think 3 years from now, if he's playing well, if he's throwing for 5,000 a game, he's putting his team in a chance to win the Super Bowl, fans are going to forget real fast.
Mike Vick went to federal prison for 4 years. Whatever the case, the issue it may be, I know a lot of people have different opinions on it. Not going to talk about that, but I definitely think they went a little over the top on it. But he was able to come back. He was able to at least get another leg in the career. It wasn't the same Mike Vick that we were used to. Of course, he got robbed of that pride.
He gets to be on ESPN. He still makes money for playing football playing football. For being his name. Yeah, I will sit here and say I don't condone dogfighting in any way. Absolutely not. But I would say if Deshaun Watson did what he's accused of, that's worse than what Vic did. In my opinion.
Mixon.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, punched a girl on camera in college, and now, it's 3 years later, 4 years later.
About it.
Nobody talks about it.
Tyreek Hill. I know Tyreek went through the gutters for a minute there. That was a bad thing for him. No one talks about it.
Dalvin Cook, running back for the Vikings. I mean, his was a little less public.
Got off scot-free, technically.
Yeah, a little less public, but there's definitely some stuff out there nobody wants to talk about. Kareem Hunt, yeah. The list goes on and on and on.
Where and it's unfortunate to say that I guess that is the product that's out there right now.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things where Deshaun right now has to tuck his ears back, tape them down, and just get through.
And I want to be clear, I'm not defending Deshaun Watson.
No,
I'm not defending
any of the actions.
I'm being realistic with the way fans are and the way the media is.
Yes.
That we forget real fucking fast.
Yeah,
like that. Then there's no other way to say it.
I don't want to say that about Panthers fans or wherever Deshaun goes, but I can tell you this: I might have my feathers ruffled up a little bit, and then next thing you know, Deshaun leads you to a damn 12-5 record or whatever it is, and you're like, well, it's okay.
You don't have to like the guy to enjoy the field, the product.
It's just one of those things,
All right, let's move right along. Chicago Bears lost their longtime D tackle, whose name I'm forgetting, from Florida State, and replaces him with Larry Ogunjobi. I guess we're not talking about all the guys the teams lost, but I mean that's tough. That's kind of tough to get into because a lot of these guys aren't re-signed, and we're doing this in the middle of free agency, so we're just talking about the big signings here. Bring in Larry Ogunjobi from the Bengals, 3 years, $40 million. For everything that the Bears needed. I'm just talking so I can wait to grab my sign.
D.
No, F. Absolutely not. Chicago Bears, you need help at wide receiver. We don't know what's going on with your wide receiver.
Allen Robinson's gone.
Yeah, Allen most likely gone. Yeah, because they're not going to tag him again. You need help at offensive line, and kind of. I understand that's not the biggest need. It's not the worst offensive line in the league, but still, I mean, your defense is aging. I get that, and Larry Ogunjobi can be a nice piece there. But come on,
Khalil Mack trade.
Second. Khalil Mack for a second. That's a good point. I forgot about that. I'll be honest.
I don't know if you like that deal. I think whenever we get to the Chargers, and as we will, they're going to be rewarded handsomely for what they did versus the Bears. I understand it. You're not in a competitive spot where you're really, really pushing for all that much. But, God, man, I don't know. It's just a bad taste in your mouth from the beginning, making that move in the first place like they did, to think about what they were able to get for it. Would they get a double doink?
Double doink.
That's all they got that was worth that.
Yeah, isn't that wild? It does suck. It sucks to be a Bears fan. So it really does.
2 firsts, 3 firsts?
2 firsts, and it might have been 3 firsts.
I believe it was 3 first-round picks.
Yeah. And then a second, I think they sent over a fourth to them or something. Yeah, something like that. It was a lot. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's move right along to the Cincinnati Bengals. Basically just brought in some offensive linemen. Brought in Alex Kappa, 4 years, $40 million. I thought that was a really good deal from the Buccaneers. So Alex Kappa, one of the best guards in the league, really wanted the Dolphins to get him. Brought in a center from the Patriots, Ted Karras. Question marks there, but we'll see. Franchise tag of Jesse Bates. Bringing in a BJ Hill, defensive tackle, to replace Larry Ogunjobi. I have one answer. Look, at the end of the day, you had one job. Help out that offensive line. It looks like they did that.
Joe Burrow,
yeah,
and bring in that, yes.
Bring in 2 offensive linemen in free agency and then draft one in the draft. That's what you have to do. Absolutely.
By the way, look
for
Drew Sample fantasy breakout season. You're going to see it a lot because CJ Uzomah just signed with the New York Jets today.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Moving right along, the Cleveland Browns, a lot of big moves here. Traded for Amari Cooper. They are letting they let go of Jarvis Landry after trying to get a trade. They traded for Chase Winovich, sent over I believe their stand-up linebacker for Chase Winovich. Brought in a Taven Bryan, who was an ex-first rounder from, I think the Falcons drafted him in the first round. I can't remember. Whatever it was, Cleveland Browns made a lot of moves, have done a lot of things, and I have very, very mixed opinions on it. I want to see yours, but I got to see. You have a D. Okay.
D. I have been on the Cleveland Browns hype train, and you can attest to this for many seasons.
I'm going B. I'm changing mine. I'm actually. The more I think about it, the more I like it. Continue. Sorry.
You got to talk first. Then.
All right.
How can you reward that?
Yeah, okay, so we agree the team still has a great offensive line. Because let's not talk about what they did last year, because they did underperform. But in the offseason, all we can talk about is on paper, right? Because on paper, I would argue they improved their wide receiver room. They grabbed an Amari Cooper for cheap. They paid very little draft capital. Yes, they have to pay the guy, but they're not going to have to pay Jarvis Landry anymore. They can afford to pay Amari Cooper. He's your number one check. You bring in a Chase Winovich to add to a defensive line that is go after it type of football players. I mean, they get after the ball. They have some really, really good pieces on that defensive line. You added 2 today. The only reason it's a B is because I don't understand franchise tagging David Njoku. I didn't think he performed nearly well enough.
I think there was a lot of tight ends that did that just with the money in the market right now.
And that's a good point. And that's a great point. That honestly improves the logic.
That's why the Browns are sitting there. Got away with it. A lot of them did.
Yeah. They all looked at what the price to franchise tag a tight end said. Okay, that's worth it. I don't know why is it a D for you? Where's the hate coming from?
I feel like this team is not going to perform well that next year.
I think this is coming from a down year in general. Is this? I mean, did you? What could they have done better?
I don't think Amari is as good as what you're saying he is right here. I don't think with the way that system runs, he's a great route runner.
I am not the Amari lover.
I was about to say.
I am not. I'm the first one to admit Amari Cooper absolutely disappears in games. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Like he is Houdini on the field because sometimes you can see him, sometimes you just don't. But here's the thing: he's going to a run-first football team. And granted, I guess he technically was for the Cowboys anyway, but like he's going to a team where I understand it didn't work for other big name wide receivers on that team, but I could absolutely see it working for Amari Cooper because he's also not going to be expected to be what OBJ was with the Giants. He's not going to be expected to be the true number.
I explained number one. My scale, a C is you are just right where you left off. A D means that you are a worse team than
I don't know how you can say this team got worse.
I think that this team will be worse next year.
Why?
Because of their lack of moves. This wide receiver room is not going to be able to do anything.
But on paper, it got better. From the end of the season, it got better, I would argue. Yes, you lost OBJ, but from the end of the 2021 season, you can't count OBJ in that. That was a midseason trade. From the end of the season to now, it got better, in my opinion. Is Amari Cooper better than Jarvis Landry?
Yes. Amari is a good wide receiver. But I just do not think that this is going to work in the scheme for what the Cleveland Browns. We're 2 years removed from them almost having a championship berth. A fourth down Andy Reid ballsy move from the Browns should have won that game, being in the championship. I think that they have regressed so much that these are not moves that is making me say, wow, the Cleveland Browns are here. Because now you have the emergence of Joe Burrow.
But Joe Burrow has nothing to do with their free agency move.
I'm just saying that with the competitiveness that is this division now, they did not make the moves necessary to compete.
They made a trade to get Chase Winovich that will put even more pressure on Joe Burrow.
Chase Winovich is not anything to write home about.
He's a baller.
Oh my god.
Michigan white boy baller.
Oh my god.
Absolute baller. I love Chase Winovich.
Taven Bryan.
There's a 1 year $5 million deal. I'm not writing home about Taven Bryan.
Typing.
Huh?
Is that even worth typing? No.
Taven Bryan, he's a fine defensive tackle. He's a rotational defensive tackle.
He
is a bust, but he's a rotational piece. If he was drafted in the 4th round, he wouldn't have been a bust.
He's a bust. So you're telling me that your opinion based off of Amari Cooper to be the wide receiver 1, you want Houdini?
I'm saying their team got better. They upgraded at wide receiver, and they added, I think, a really good defensive
Jarvis Landry is more consistent than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a better wide receiver and should be, but the Amari Cooper that we have seen as of late, man, can be a little scary.
I think it's an argument. I think it's a fair argument.
29 right now, Amari is. I mean, that's...
but he's in the prime of his career, I would say. Or at least should still be.
Still should be open.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
I'm glad we disagree. That's fine.
I don't know if they made the moves necessary.
And here's the thing.
I hold the Cleveland Browns to.
Here's the thing. I think the Cleveland Browns, I do think they're going to struggle in the division. I do think that overall, this is a team that probably is going to be looking for another quarterback this time next year. I do agree with the projection of where the Browns are as a team. But they did the right thing in this free agency to make their team better. Because you got to think we're still looking at half the piece. We don't know what they're going to do in the draft. I mean, they can add other pieces here. I'm not out on it, and I'm getting to a B. And I feel like I'm having to defend it really, really hard.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. All right, we got the Dallas Cowboys trading Amari Cooper for pennies, assigning a Michael Gallup, franchise tagging Dalton Schultz. You mentioned the franchise tag of the tight end is very popular move, and then bringing in safety Malik Hooker, another bust that you want to talk about in the first round?
Don't take Ohio State guys early.
Where are you at with this? I'm gonna let you go first.
I look at it more for what they lost. Like that's something that I also wish we could show the people, because they lost to Randy Gregory, who had
I think they signed him, didn't they?
A huge shocking flip. It was announced by Schefter that he signed, ended up going to the Broncos.
No shit.
Yeah,
I missed that.
5 years, $70 million. So I just feel like there's a lot of big stuff that they kind of missed out on, it's scary. It's scary to me. But I don't think they did anything that was. It's hard. I want to grade them based off of the Amari deal and how crappy they have handled their finances. But is that fair?
I'll give it a D. I will.
I wanted to say D as well.
I wanted to give it a D.
I almost
now,
gave it a C. I was about to be nice.
Now, here's the thing. I don't hate the idea of getting the cheaper wide receiver and Michael Gallup over Amari Cooper. I didn't hate that, and that doesn't really factor into this deal. 5 years, $62 million, really not that bad for a wide receiver who you think is going to be your wide receiver too. Complements the skill set of a CD Lamb very well. I would say Michael Gallup, a little bit bigger, go up and get a guy, but don't love signing a guy who tears his ACL mid-season. Probably not getting much value of Michael Gallup in year one of this new contract. Probably comes out year two and becomes that guy. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. I'm going to call that a wash because you didn't really get a whole lot of value for Amari Cooper anyway. So it's like, I'll call that a wash. That's fine. But then I look at what they didn't do. They didn't bring in any offensive linemen, which has been the key to this team for a long time. And you're right. Like the way their scale is set up, like they need their big hitters to hit. And they need to be healthy going into the playoffs because they're going to win games. Like they're going to be
top to bottom
a tough team to play.
This team is set up to win. It's just a matter of, can they peak at the right time?
Yeah.
Can they avoid that big hit injury?
Yeah, and I don't think
defense has to stay healthy.
I don't think their team got better. I don't know that it got marketably worse, but I don't think their team got better. And I do think having less depth on the offensive line is never good. And they're aging on the offensive line. They're trying to trade Leo Collins. They let Connor Williams go. So it's like, the offensive line is really where I look at. I'm like, okay, that's why it's a D here, and I'm not seeing any big moves to upgrade that offensive line.
I grade harsher based on if you are or have been a good team / contender in the past few years, because if you are one of those teams, I think if you have a window, if you're sniffing making the Super Bowl, go get it, go try to get it, make it happen, because that window can be short-lived. 4 or 5 years ago, the Atlanta Falcons have one of the best rosters in the National Football League, and we literally just went over them saying how bad they are going to be.
Yeah.
It's short-lived. Make it happen while you can. Dallas missed it on that one.
Fair enough. All right, let's move to the Denver Broncos. I'll let you break down their moves.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, like we know where we're going here. I think we both agree on this. We know
what's coming here. We have the biggest, fattest A that we can hand out, and it is headlined. Yeah, big A. Headlined by Russell Wilson. It's a top to bottom good trade. I feel like they crushed it on value and what they were able to still hold on to, and it worked out, man. They did a good job with it. They brought in Randy Gregory too today. I would say the other ones are just kind of fill-in pieces, if you will. But bringing in Randy Gregory, huge for that defensive line. There's rumors that they're going to go get a Von Miller back too for a reunion run it back to her. At least Von was trying to hit him up on Twitter and see what happens there. But with Russell alone, this offense becomes sky's the limit. The only fear here is that the competition that they're having to go off of in the NFC the AFC West, that is quarterback wise, there's a good argument that he's the third best quarterback there.
Yeah. Russell Wilson went from a really, really tough division to arguably even harder one. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy.
And there's not many other ways it can get harder.
But I mean, you look at what Russell Wilson has. Yes, I know he left DK and Lockett in Seattle, and that is unfortunate. But man, you have Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. Not having Noah Fant, that's a rough one. But I mean, it's I think a price that you're willing to pay if you're the Denver Broncos. Man, this team. And
they like what they saw to Albert O. He's going to step up. Yeah. They have a really good offensive. I'd say really good gets overused. They have a formidable offensive line that can protect Russell better than the one that was in Seattle. And guess what? He made it happen with that. So, I think this is going to be a good team.
Yeah,
it's time to get behind the Broncos.
It is absolutely time. We were wrong 2 years ago. We were a little bit wrong last year. Now there's no way we can be wrong again.
I'll be damned for wrong now.
I swear to goodness. All right, let's move on to the Detroit Lions, where they made a lot of smaller moves here, right? A lot of 1 and 2 year deals, bringing in a Tim Boyle to be a backup quarterback, nothing major. DJ Shark going, getting the 1 year, $10 million deal. I love the move for DJ.
It's a bet on himself.
Why not go to the Lions where, okay, first of all, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. DJ's used to being on a bad team. He's not. That's nothing new for him. But gonna be on a team where he's gonna be throwing the ball a lot, or their team will be throwing the ball a lot, and he has the chance to be the number one, the true number one from start to finish. Right? They bring in Josh Reynolds too. I think he's a depth piece. DJ Shark, I still believe, has a chance to be a wide receiver one in this league. I'm not saying he's that. I'm saying he showed flashes 2 years ago.
Him and Amon-Ra, maybe I'm biased, but that really doesn't sound
not that bad, right?
Oh, budget wise. I mean, we're talking. You get Amon-Ra on a very, very cheap rookie deal. Yeah. You have DJ Shark for a 1 year, $10 million. I don't think you're overpaying anybody in that wide receiver room.
Not at all.
You know, I don't hate it.
Beyond that, we didn't give our grades. Beyond that, I'm just gonna give it a solid B. For me, I'm not overly. I lost my B button. No, my goodness,
it's good. It's down there. I give the Detroit Lions a B as well. Yeah, I'm still waiting for this team to really make that pop, but I also give them a B for not going out and just wasting money, blowing money, handicapping.
I think they're doing this the right way.
And that's why I give them the B, because they recognized really what they are. They said, you know what? We're not one of the shiny new fast cars yet right now. We don't need to put on some badass rims and wheels yet. We're not ready to go that fast. They didn't do it. A lot of teams, and we'll get to one of them later, that I'm just going to bash and smash because, yeah, you had the cap, but you spent it all on pieces that I felt like was just lateral at best, you know.
Right, we'll get to that, but Detroit, yeah, absolutely. I 1000% agree.
For holding off,
they spent their money the right way. They didn't have a ton of cap to work with because of the Jared Goff deal, but they didn't need it. All they do is go add pieces, add good foundational pieces to your team that can help your team get better. You value the workmanship and work ethic over even the talent on the field. I would argue at this point in the rebuild, year one, you're looking for young players with some guys that you bring in free agency that can build up your young roster. That's what you want. Them. Yep. Exactly. So let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, there's only one move here. You were able to convince the GOAT to come back, so I'll give you an A just for that.
The who?
The GOAT.
He's not
the GOAT in Green Bay. The GOAT in Green Bay.
He is the GOAT in Green Bay, yes.
Fair enough. I forgot somebody had to come back to the league and be the best.
Being able to make those moves, whatever it was, and repair that relationship for Rodgers in Green Bay is the thing. Now, Davonte Adams is sitting out. He said that. He said
he's either getting a contract or sitting out. Yeah.
Yeah. So Green Bay try to right that one. You know, I'm sure they'll get that one fixed up. All in all, it's A though.
Yeah, I'm curious about
they cut Zadarius Smith. We kind of
that's unfortunate. Devondre Campbell gets 5 years, $50 million, linebacker. So I mean, that's a little bit of a surprise that he's the guy that gets paid. But I mean, that is what it is, and they know their defense better than I do. So I'll just live with that. I'll be fine with that. At the end of the day, it was Rodgers or nothing. This was an A or F kind of off season for them.
Yeah.
And as it's going so far, we'll see what happens with Davonte Adams. I would imagine just the way the money's going to play out, I would imagine he has to take kind of a low yearly salary year one, and then it bumps up in year 2 and 3. I would imagine that's going to have to be the structure if they're able to bring him back. I would imagine he wants to come back and play with Aaron Rodgers. I would also imagine they still need another wide receiver. He just can't all be Davonte Adams all the time. So hey, we'll see what happens there. But overall, you got Rodgers. You're happy.
Is the move though. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another team. Bad team that brings back some talent all over the field. They again a lot of 1 and 2 year deals with the Houston Texans. No big names, but where do you want to start with this?
No, I think that they have a lot of. I don't know. I'm not gonna trash the Texans. You know, I'm gonna take the easy route on them and give them the C. Yeah, I was about to give them the C. I don't think that they did anything noteworthy to write home about. I also don't think they did anything that crippled their franchise. Their biggest free agent move depends on the haul that they can get for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Upcoming, and we get to see what they will target in the draft and see where they go from there. So I think we're just kind of. It seems like
this is the second year in a row where the Texans just went quantity over quality. You got, Christian Kirksey, 2 year, $50 million. That's an interesting linebacker re-signing. That's one of their biggest deals, honestly.
Malik Collins, solid
2 year, 17. Yeah, that's a good piece. So you grab some starters, you grab some rotational pieces. Gotta love that. Have no real issue there. Indianapolis Colts moving on from Carson Wentz, and now it's like, man, what do they do next? As of right now, I don't know how you have any other deal here other than D. And I don't hate moving on from Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz, I will say this: I was in love with the signing of the trade for Carson Wentz last year at this time, and I absolutely thought that Carson Wentz would get back to form. And there were moments throughout the season where I thought he might still be on that path, but he has not been the same since that ACL injury. And there's not going to be more chances for Carson Wentz to go be a starter somewhere. It seems like this is his third now if you consider the Eagles. Yeah, this has got to be it. And that just is what it is. Got some value for Carson Wentz, so there's something there. But beyond that, I think it's wait and see. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I put them at the F because of the, I guess, giving up on the Carson Wentz thing, which was a good thing. I do agree that it was time to do that. But just knowing that they were able to play him like they did and it ended up costing them a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Horrible move top to bottom. You're now sitting without a quarterback on a roster that is very, very good. To think that if you could plug in the right quarterback here, I think we're talking powerhouse, could be powerhouse of the AFC competing up there with the rest of them. They don't have that yet.
Even a Jimmy G, and I think they're in the playoffs and they're playing really well.
I'm scared to think about what they might go do or what their other options might be, though. So
yeah,
it could be a Jimmy G. It could be
Marcus Mariota. That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Goes back to the same division. They also brought it, re-signed Mo Alley Cox, 3 years, $18 million. That's I like Cox. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he is.
Don't clip that out. I need you to not clip that out.
That's not a good phrase for you on camera. Where'd he go to school?
He played basketball somewhere.
VCU.
Yeah, he didn't play. I don't think he didn't play any football until the NFL.
Mo Alley Cox was the center for VCU.
Yeah. All right, Jacksonville Jaguars. This is where I think we were talking about the team that did a lot of things. I'm gonna let you take the lead here. I want to hear your thoughts here.
I'm not gonna lie because I have D and B up, and it just depends on which side of the coin you look at. And I will pick my final one in a minute. But they made moves to address what they needed. They franchise tagged Cam Robinson. I think he's one of the better linemen in the league when it comes to protecting a Trevor Lawrence. And they just got Brandon Sheriff, who we have been talking about for offseason after offseason, saying wherever this guy goes, we're going to be big fans of the move. Goes to a team where he can definitely help out protecting Trevor Lawrence. I have a problem with the way that they address the wide receiver room around them, though. They wildly overpaid a Christian Kirk. I understand. I've heard a lot of Jags fans saying, well, he's getting like a couple million this year. Then it jumps up to 15, and then after the third year, we can cut him, blah, blah, blah. We said at the beginning we weren't going to go into all that stuff. So I'm going to grade you off of a 4-year, $72 million contract for the fourth option on that Cardinals offense. You just overpaid. You have Evan Ingram, who they're wanting to convert from tight end to wide receiver-ish area.
Slot receiver, yeah.
Zay Jones. I don't know. For the moves on the offensive line, I give you a B+, if not an A. They killed that. For the overall spending and where they did it, that goes for last year included, I think this is a team that overspends too much on guys when they're not ready to do it. Jacksonville, they're kicking the can down the road. I'm just afraid that they're wanting to see results now, and they're not going to like the outcome.
All right, I'm going to go see here because I do agree. It's really tough for me to look at that Brandon Sheriff deal and say that they absolutely sucked. It was a bad move.
They cut Miles Jack today, too.
They did cut Miles Jack, which, I mean, yeah, they're leading tackler, but he's middle linebacker, so he should be the leading tackler. Beyond that, I can live with that. I loved Miles Jack 4 years ago. Now he's not the same guy. Franchise tagging Cam Robinson gives you the ability to grab a defensive end with the first overall pick. I think they'll do that. I think that's a slam dunk.
It's Hutch season, yeah.
I think it's Hutch season in Jacksonville. I really do. I didn't understand. Look, not only the Christian Kirk, I can live with the Christian Kirk deal if you tell me that it's basically a 2-year, $16 million deal with unreasonable back-end money that he's never going to see. I can live with that. That's fine. Christian Kirk will be on the open market in 2 years. Fine. Whatever. Deal with it. Zay Jones, 3 years, $24 million. Do you do the same thing there, too? What is Zay Jones? Zay Jones isn't worth that. I don't think.
Zay Jones was on his last leg, and I've always kind of liked Zay Jones.
Yeah.
But last leg at the Raiders, and only because of a Henry Ruggs, him being an idiot, was able to see the field and then made it happen from there.
I mean, it makes absolutely no sense to me. You're going and grabbing guys who should be bargain bin deals. Christian Kirk should have been going out and getting the same kind of deal that a DJ Shark get. Maybe a little bit better. Maybe he could have gotten more than DJ Shark.
I no joke think that Zay Jones is on the level of a Chris Conley.
Yeah,
$2 million.
Zay Jones, absolutely. I'm talking, all of it, man. It just doesn't make sense. They spend in free agency, and I would like to see the Jacksonville Jaguars maybe take a different result. I understand. I like Evan Ingram 1 year, $9 million. That's a great deal. Let's see if he can be a slot receiver. He can't be a tight end. Would love to see if his athleticism can just.
I think they got him solely so Trevor Lawrence could have an excuse.
Yeah, and I absolutely, and then I absolutely love Brandon Sheriff. But beyond that, man, it's tough to watch the Jaguars do this every freaking year. Overspend.
At a certain point, I think you have to look at it and say, man, are we doing something right or wrong? Jags, you've been doing it wrong for a minute now. Maybe just take a second.
Yeah, I agree. We'll move right along from the Jaguars to the Chiefs. The huge change of pace here. Orlando Brown gets the franchise tag, bringing in Justin Reed, the safety from the Texans, for a 3-year, $31 million. You got Honey Badger waiting. I'm gonna give it.
I almost went B. I'm giving them a C because they didn't address wide receiver. I do think that they need a wide receiver.
I'm giving it a question mark here. I'm not ready to judge. I think there's more moves to be made for the Chiefs.
That's fair.
And that's to see what wide receiver do they get. And if they can bring in, there's got to be somebody. I mean, Juju's on the market. There's too many wide receivers on the market. I'm putting a question mark because I can't give a grade when I really believe they're going to go get a Jarvis Landry, a Juju Smith, somebody like that to round out that wide receiver core, which I think whatever wide receiver they get, fast, explosive wide receiver, wherever he comes from, it'll work pretty well with Mahomes throwing the ball. So I'm going to go question mark now. Don't hate any of the other moves. Wish Honey Badger was back with the Chiefs. That just feels right to me. But beyond that, we'll move on. Las Vegas Raiders, as of right now, no big moves. Let's move right along.
They have
nothing else to talk about.
I would grade them bad just because that division's getting a lot better, but that's on them. So.
Yeah. Moving on to the Chargers here, a team that I think we both agree, man. I mean, they've absolutely killed it. I'll let you go with the Chargers here.
This is going to be historically one of the best free agencies you can ever have. I'm telling you, they are playing Madden right now, and they put the sliders on easy because. Like, I'm serious. You talk about building a team. It's like, let's go get the best cornerback in the market. And J.C. Jackson, a lot of people say that it's scheme dependent. That's fine. I understand that. That's why the Patriots are willing to let him walk. They needed a cornerback desperately for that secondary. They got one of the better ones, locked him up. And then being able to go make that move for Khalil Mack for a second-round pick. I can't tell you how many time and time again that I feel like the Chargers are wasting that late first-round pick on that defensive line piece, primarily interior typically, but they do a lot of outside too. That just misses. It just doesn't hit. They got a guy a few years ago, Neville Gall. I can't remember some of their names, honestly.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name
They've
either.
just missed. You go get Khalil. You were set up. This is a move for me that you take a team last year that was a top 10, and they are making that push. They are making the moves to say, whoa. Who gives a damn if Russell Wilson where he's playing right now? Yeah. We're here, and this is what he's got to go through.
And you didn't even mention one of my favorite things they did. They re-signed Mike Williams, 3 years, $60 million. Crazy. He made $20 million a year. Is that right?
He ended up turning. He turned himself around. You look at Mike Williams and Corey Davis, where they got drafted and where they were. Mike Williams hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like Mike Williams a lot. I know he disappeared in the second half of the season, but he had an historic first half of the season. So, like, he can disappear all he wants there in the second half.
And Sebastian Joseph Day is a good piece for them.
Yeah, they added some good depth defensive tackle pieces, which I do think they needed. Austin Johnson, Joseph Day. But you killed it, man. A lot of high-profile guys. I think they added players that I think are going to be a good piece of the puzzle. And, they added some Ferraris there, man.
They're the best team in L.A.
They're the best team. They're the best team in LA.
They're the best team in LA.
The reigning Super Bowl champs are in LA.
Nope, they're the best team in LA.
I don't believe that you believe that.
I wholeheartedly believe that. Where are they not better?
I mean, I don't think.
Where do the Rams have them beat? Come on.
I mean, okay, let's go down the list. Quarterback, running back.
You would rather have.
No, for 1 year. For 1 year, okay, running back, not so.
I was about to say.
Yeah, you're right.
Come on.
You're right. Okay.
Wide receiver room.
Yeah, go Rams.
You have Kupp.
You have Kupp and OBJ.
OBJ's free agent.
Okay, assuming they can bring back OBJ.
Oh, you have Kupp and Robert Woods.
Yeah, okay, so I'll still take that.
Okay.
Kupp had the single greatest wide receiver season of all time. Give me Kupp.
We talked about this, and I do think that you're a little high on Cooper Kupp. We are also on the Rams right now, so we can segue.
Yeah, we can go to LA.
We can segue right into this and still talk about it.
No, let's.
Cooper Kupp is a phenomenal talent. I'm not going to hate on this man. I am not going to sit here and say that he's the number one wide receiver in the football.
If he was black,
the National Football League, though. I do. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we can call it whatever it is. I know that it's not, a race thing, but I do think like we're not used to seeing white guys be that fucking good at wide receiver. I think that's what it is, and I don't think there's any, I don't know any other way to say it.
You're not saying anything wrong by saying that.
I don't mean to be disrespectful.
It's when people are
What has
talking
he
about
done wrong?
when people are talking about Cooper Kupp and they say he's sneaky athletic, it's like you're just saying he's athletic for a white guy. That's what that phrase translates to. No, he is. I get that.
He's arguably the best route runner in the league.
Yes.
I mean, look, I get it. I understand. Like, is he pound for pound the most explosive wide receiver in the league? Absolutely not. But I mean, I'm sorry. It is at the end of the day,
his intuition and intellect makes up for it because the way that him and Stafford.
What is the fucking argument for Tom Brady? Tom Brady is not as physically his physical ability is not better than Aaron Rodgers. On paper, Aaron Rodgers is the more talented player, but there's no argument. Tom
Brady's bottom 30. Yeah,
there's no argument from anyone that understands football even the slightest that Tom Brady is obviously the greatest quarterback we've ever seen and was probably the quarterback you would rather have on your team.
Yeah.
Even last year. Aaron Rodgers won the fucking MVP, but Brady's the guy you want, especially if you have pieces around him. All right, like I totally get it, but at the end of the day, we got to stop taking this combine approach of looking at players and saying like, dude, this dude.
When a guy's good, he's good.
He's fucking good.
I do agree with that.
He had the greatest wide receiver season ever, and I understand there was an extra game, but hey, every other wide receiver in the league got to play with an extra game too. So I mean, like, and
he still didn't beat
and
Calvin,
he was Super Bowl MVP.
No, listen, you're right. He got the
triple threat.
He got the triple crown.
I think saying top 5 is disrespectful. Say top 3, and I can live with that. But there are not 4 wide receivers better than him right now. There were not 4 wide receivers better than him last year.
I don't know, man. That's tough. I do think we're kind of splitting hairs.
Part of the thing is, wide receiver especially, like, I absolutely agree that you can't just look at stats and say, oh, he's the best. Like, I 1,000% get that. But, like, with wide receiver, that's your job is to put up stats. And he was unfucking guardable. Unguardable.
Yes, and knowing that he was.
I'm not mad, by the way. I feel like you think I'm mad.
No. I'm trying to gather myself and explain where I'm coming from. I think that Kupp is a lot better than Keenan and Mike Williams. I think Keenan and Mike Williams are better than Robert Woods. I think I would take the median difference there and say, give me the quarterback. I like Herbert. I think Herbert and Stafford you can wash at that rate then. The running back room.
I don't think you can yet. I don't think you can. I agree. Look, I love Herbert. Freaking love Herbert. I don't think you can right now.
Some of Stafford's decision, I do not want to be against Stafford right now, but some of his decision making was a little rash at times.
I would argue he made one bad decision. And I
think you're talking mainly Super Bowl. I'm talking overall.
Okay, yeah. I was talking Super Bowl.
He had a lot of turnover-worthy plays. Defensive-wise, the Chargers in these moves, they're there. They're there.
Mean, I guess maybe if Aaron Donald's gone and if Ramsey's taking a step down.
Ramsey is there. He is not taking a step back.
You'll give me Aaron Donald and you're still going to argue this?
You've lost Vaughn. You just lost Sebastian Joseph Day to the Chargers. I think you lost a lot of meat that you had. You have Kenneth Murray, Derwin James coming back.
Joseph Day is on the Chargers, so obviously your argument's foolproof.
You're
crazy.
Of course.
No, you're right. I forgot about Sebastian Joseph Day is the crux of your argument right now.
You lost. You lost Andrew Whitworth. You lost one of your guards.
You're arguing the team that won the Super Bowl versus a team that didn't even make the playoffs.
The Chargers are better.
Give me the coach, give me the quarterback, give me the wide receivers, give me the secondary, give me the defensive line, all Rams.
Defensive line is not Rams.
Defensive line is Rams.
Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. It's the Rams, bro.
No, give me.
It's the Chargers.
Give me Aaron Donald and whoever else is around him, and I'll take that.
My God!
Give me Aaron Donald.
You're being ignorant now.
Aaron Donald is arguably the greatest defensive player we've ever seen.
We're 2 years away from Khalil Mack being that. What happened?
What?
He didn't die.
Khalil Mack was okay. He was never on that level. Khalil Mack was never what.
Khalil Mack is a monstrosity. I would say at his peak, he's a top 5 player in the whole league.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack.
Okay, but he's not at his peak anymore. Aaron Donald.
Oh my God! It's the take him out to the woodshed type thing. Just because he hit 30 years old, you know how old Aaron Donald is.
You're right.
How old's Aaron Donald?
I really don't look. Maybe I think I'm the worst arguer between the two of us, and I'm losing. I don't feel like I'm wrong on this because I get JC Jackson's great. But I mean, the Rams have a better corner. Like Khalil Mack is awesome. Bosa is awesome. But I mean, they have if they have Donald,
depth.
If they have Vaughn, if they still have all these pieces, which I think they're going to bring back. I think they're running it back here. I don't think I'm crazy.
I think it's the overall depth that the team has is what does it for me. The Chargers are deeper top to bottom than the Rams having. The Rams having Kupp. Ramsey and Aaron Donald, they probably have 3 of the top 15 players overall in the league. I get that. But I think the Chargers have about 8 that sit on the top 50. What are you giving the Rams?
An F for free agency.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know what? I give it a D. You're right, though.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champs, run it back and repeat. They lost a lot of pieces. The Chargers are just as good, if not better.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Let's talk about your team.
You go first. I don't want to talk about the Dolphins.
I tied my hand on the DNF so quick just because you got me going. No, I'm gonna give the Dolphins. You made a lot of moves. I don't know if you did anything noteworthy. All right,
let's go. Let's talk about the moves here while we're looking.
You get a C.
You brought in Teddy Bridgewater to be your backup for $6 million. Fine with that. Chase Edmonds, another piece of the puzzle. The running game, great. Cedric Wilson, wide receiver for the Cowboys, number 1 for the Cowboys, going over the Dolphins. I would like to see him wear number 1 for the Dolphins and be a pretty good player. I'm actually kind of excited about that. 3-year, $22 million, fairly reasonable deal. Adding some speed to a wide receiver room, I think could use that. Mike Gesicki gets the franchise tag. The single most important signing, because the one thing the Dolphins needed above all else was help on the offensive line. You got Connor Williams. Connor Williams, 2nd round pick for the Cowboys. Guard. Let Connor Williams go when he should be in his prime for a reason. Cowboys let him go for a reason. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know everything about Connor Williams, but 2 years, $14 million, not super pumped about that. I hopefully, hey, if he hits and he's a starter, great signing. But man, not even a guaranteed start signing when all you needed more than anything else was offensive line help. I am very disappointed the Dolphins took their hat out of the ring to improve at the quarterback position. I think Tua is a bust, and I think Dolphins are just wasting the next 5 years of my life being a fan, because I mean we're gonna spend 2 years trying to figure out if Tua is a bust or not, and he's not. I can tell you that right now. I feel very confident saying at the best he'll be okay. I don't want okay. And
move on, bro.
Yeah, and their defense is. I think their defense got worse when we lost our head coach, who I still believe should still be our head coach. Not a huge fan of our new head coach, who's he just. I mean, it's whatever. Maybe he's a great offensive mind. I don't know.
It's disappointing to go from where the hype was and the ceiling was for a minute there.
I'm a jaded fan.
And you should be. I'm talking before the Deshaun rumors too, and all the quarterback stuff. I'm talking about the hype, even knowing that you had Tua, but you still had probably one of the hottest named coaches in the league. You had no controversy off the field with your owner being forced to sell the team and all this stuff. It spiraled. Yeah, it spiraled. That's all we got, man. If you could go back and just shake the shit out of 5-year-old you and say, pick a different team, would you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I probably would.
I'd be a Patriots fan.
Yeah. I'd probably be the Rams. I think the Rams have been really fun. You get to see a couple different Super Bowls. You would have gotten to see what defeat looks like as a Super Bowl fan.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be a Rams.
And then you get to see the comeback this year. I think the Rams are at least fun.
Okay, maybe getting to see the full story with the... because you're right, Patriots would ruin the fun.
We're going way out. We're going way off topic.
You're good. Don't be this next team though.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings. Don't be a fan of the Minnesota Vikings. They will stress you out. They will hurt your heart.
Give Kirk Cousins another year for $35 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and that's why they get the question mark.
Yeah, buddy.
Honestly, though, it's more like a D for me, just because I feel like this team has the offensive weapons. We have the bells and whistles. If you put the right piece there to make this thing happen and get it going.
By the way,
I think we're going to miss our window.
I want to make sure people know all they've done is sign Harrison Phillips, defensive tackle from the Bills, originally a Dolphins second-round pick.
From the
they brought in Jordan Hicks, but didn't help out an offensive line that needed help out. I understand. There's only so many offensive linemen. But man, it just doesn't make sense how many bad offensive lines did not get help this free agency so far, and a lot of the good ones are already gone. It just is unfortunate. Do you have anything else to say? I'm not going to make you have an existential crisis like I did with the Dolphins.
It's okay. I've already had mine.
New England Patriots are up next. New England Patriots did what the New England Patriots do. They traded away a player that everyone thought was really good for another good player, but we'll see what happens with that trade. And they pretty much just re-signed players and spent very little money doing it. I'm going to give it a C because, look, last year they strayed from their normal moves, which this is a very very Patriots free agency.
They're back to the Patriots. Yeah.
But just to go run it down real quick, bring back James White on a 2-year deal, bring in Brian Hoyer on a 2-year deal, re-sign offensive lineman James Fernandez, bring back safety Devin McCourty, 1-year deal. He's the quarterback of that defense, so it makes sense why you pay him what you can pay him. Matthew Slater, 1-year deal, traded for Mac Wilson, but sent away a Chase Winovich, who I absolutely loved. Mac Wilson, really good linebacker for the Browns. Like, he's a good stand-up middle linebacker. I think that's a wash of a deal. That's why I'm giving it a C.
Calvin go, so I mean that it kind of makes sense.
The Patriots.
My thing is the lack of going to get the wide receiver. They just really don't care to do it. Bill Belichick has no business at all. How I was ranting and raving about the Chargers, and they made all these fan type moves of like, man, we need this, let's go get that. We need that, let's go get that. It's the hard to see things. They went and did it. The Patriots just don't give a shit.
Yeah, absolutely don't give a shit. I don't have anything else to say about the Patriots. I think it's nice to see the Patriots not spend a ton of money in free agency because that didn't feel right last year. Saints are a question mark. They have no moves right now. Seems like they might be trying to go get Deshaun Watson. They have freed up a lot of space in the cap, converting a lot of money to bonuses and all this other stuff
I'll
that
go
you
as far
do.
to say that I think Jarvis and Deshaun will be Saints by next week.
Well, that'd be interesting. It would be an A if that was the case. Moving on to the Giants, another weird free agency where they didn't do a whole lot. Brought in a guard from the Colts, Mark Glowinski. I don't know that name. I'll be honest with you. 3-year, $20 million, and then John Falent, offensive lineman from the Bills. I don't know. I'll go D. Look, you know what? I'll go. I'll go C. I'm going to go C, and the only reason is of the two moves that we can see so far, they went and helped out their worst possible position. Now, that's offensive line. Did they go get a big name offensive lineman? No, but they need help in the offensive line. So they at least targeted their biggest need. So I'll give it a C for that, but I'm by no means impressed. New York Jets. I feel like I've been talking a lot. I'm going to let you take it over. Who's the New York Jets?
You're good. I'm going to give the New York Jets a B. I do think that they are a team that I'm looking to make a jump with Zach Wilson. They addressed the offensive line with Laken Tomlinson from the 49ers. They have a Mekhi Becton who will be coming back and be healthy. I'm looking for them to also make some moves in the draft with that. So I guess that's a little maybe too bullish on me giving them a B for stuff that I expect them to do.
Good with B.
It's just I see them making moves. I see them being aggressive, I guess. And seeing the aggressive behind it means that I think it might work out.
You missed a lot of these guys. Tevin Coleman.
CJ Uzomah's a pretty good one. Tevin Coleman at the running back position. They brought him back and re-signed him.
Braxton
That's not big for me,
Berrios.
though, because I want Michael Carter to take the reins.
Michael Carter, the ring. Yeah, but I don't think the 1-year deal for Tevin Coleman is
LaMarcus Joyner, you get to keep. You bring in DJ Reed at the second cornerback position. You need him. Jordan Whitehead, rotational piece at safety.
Yeah, I was good with it. I didn't hate it. I'm not gonna sit here and say I loved it, but I think it's a positive grade. I would have given it a B- if we had pluses and minuses, but that was just too hard to. We didn't want to have two signs.
Too much.
You
can't give us that much freedom.
No, and they do have 2 first-round picks. So I understand you're not in love with the wide receiver thing. I would be very, very surprised if they get out of the first round without drafting a wide receiver at some point.
Drake London.
No, man, they gotta go Garrett Wilson. Drake London does not fit their scheme at all.
Drake London
doesn't fit their scheme. I think that I would put a shot bet that it's not Drake London.
You're a hater. Drake London.
I like Drake London. He doesn't fit the scheme of the 49ers. He doesn't fit the 49ers scheme at all, which is what they have. Huh?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm saying the Jets are playing the 49ers offensive scheme, so he doesn't fit that scheme.
Drake London.
Just like Drake London. All right, Philadelphia Eagles, Hassan Reddick is their big move here, and that is about it. That's all they've done is grab Hassan Reddick. I'm going to give it an A for me because I really wanted Hassan Reddick to sign with the Dolphins. I love Hassan Reddick. I think it was a great move by the Eagles to add to the...
I give it a B.
Yeah, they didn't do a lot. But I'm grading on the one thing they did was Hassan Reddick.
Grading it on the fact that Howie Roseman at times shows just ineptness for football, and then there's times where he hits home runs. I like the fact that he committed to Jalen Hurts. I think that's an overall confidence boost for the team, at least in the shortcoming. Saying they're going to be, they're there and getting some moves around him. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, hey, look, we'll see what happens with Hurts. I think the jury's still out, but I do think
I don't think he's the guy either.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he isn't. I'm saying that he put enough on film this past year to say, okay, we can run it another year. We'll see what happens. And they also have 3 first-round picks that, hey, maybe somebody they like falls. I mean, if maybe they're in love with, the North Carolina guy and they just decide, hey, let's grab him with 1 hour first, make him the backup, and see what happens from there. Like, I could see that happening for sure. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers, a lot of moves here. They had a little to no money last year. They have a little bit more this year. Spent a lot of money on some interesting names here. Mitch Trubisky is the big name, obviously quarterback from the Bills, getting that 2-year deal, possibly the starter, but getting a 2-year, $14 million, very, very incredibly reasonable for. I would imagine Trubisky probably took a pay cut. He probably could have gotten more somewhere else to be a backup, but I mean, 14 mil to possibly be a starter.
To be in a good spot that is going to take care of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him
that
a B.
alone gives you a B, or you like the rest of their moves?
I like Trubisky. I like the upside that could go with that, maybe him learning. I also like them going to get Chukwuma and James Daniels.
Yeah, both offensive linemen, yeah.
Pittsburgh is always built and predicated off of having a good offensive line. They're at least making the moves to try to get back to that.
Yeah, man, I love what they did. Look, you go get a bargain bin quarterback. You didn't have to pay a lot for him. You don't have to be sold on him. He doesn't have to be your guy. You still have, room to make moves if there's other moves to be made out there, but you get a quarterback that at least I feel confident say he can run an offense. He's not going to win you a lot of games. But I don't think he'll lose you any either. Or he might lose you a couple here and there. I think he can run an offense. Love that they went out and improved your offensive line, which needed some help grabbing tackle, guard, center, and hopefully, you spent three, a good bit of money on Daniels and Okafor for sure. But I mean, it's still reasonable money for an offensive lineman, and you gotta invest in that offensive line. You spent more on the offensive lineman than the quarterback. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Didn't overpay. I like that. And Levi Wallace, 2-year, $8 million. Still like him. Cornerback for the Bills. Older, but still. San Francisco 49ers. Not a lot of big moves. Went out and got Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs. Didn't even realize he was a free agent.
I feel like he was overpaid.
He might have been overpaid a little bit. I'm
going to give him a
3 years, $40 million. I haven't decided yet. Sorry, I'll let you talk.
Or question mark. This could be a question mark because I do think the free agency stuff goes into what you're able to ship off for other stuff. If you're able to get a 2nd-round pick for Jimmy G, that's a win for me.
I'm going to D. Are they definitely trading Jimmy G? Are they definitely not keeping him for another year? Is it definitely Trey Lance's show now?
I would keep him.
Yeah,
we've talked about that. I would keep him because you got to look at where you went and how close you were to getting what you did, and you did that under Jimmy G. I'm sorry. But there's people at the front office, man, that have their jobs on the line for this. And at a certain point, you can't Jordan Love the guy you traded 3 firsts for.
Yeah, and Trey Lance he had these packages in the first quarter of the season, and then he was just gone. He never got to go out on the field. It's a weird situation there, and until he gets traded, I'm not sold that that's happening. Obviously, I don't have any inside information. I have no idea, but I don't know. I'm not 100% he's definitely gone type of guy yet.
They're a good
That's
team.
why I'm giving it a D. I kind of like Ward, but I do agree. 3 years, $40 million, a little bit overpaid. You overpaid for a huge need though, so I don't hate that either. They are a good team, man. They are a really good team.
That's why I gave them a C. I don't think they did anything to cement themselves any other way, but maybe the Jimmy G thing.
I'm going to go bold here. We're going Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, this is the team that traded a Russell Wilson. I think I know where you're going to go with it. I'm gonna be very, very
wildly
different.
Opposite. We are wildly opposite.
This is why for me, because I'm not judging them based on the team. I'm not saying they're going to be a good team. I'm not saying anything along those lines. I'm saying for what they're doing, they went and got a cheap quarterback to be your piece for a couple years as you're trying to rebuild. You went and got a Noah Fant, who's a good piece that will fit in that offense very well. You paid a safety, Quandre Diggs. You went and grabbed a corner. Was he already with the? I guess he was already with the Seahawks. But Sidney Jones, but little pieces here. What I love though is the trade of Russell Wilson. If you had to move on from Russell Wilson, what'd they get? 2 firsts and 2 seconds. They got pieces. They got moves. They made moves. I understand.
No, they didn't get 2 seconds with him. They got 2 firsts and the players.
Yeah, I think they got 1 second, did they not?
I'm not sure.
Either way, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I get why you're saying F. I understand. The Seahawks arguably did get worse, but if you're in a situation where the quarterback doesn't want to be there and you have to, and your team sucks. I mean, their offensive line sucked. Their defense was terrible. They had a good quarterback and a pretty good wide receiver core. That was it. That was really all they had.
Man,
a great wide receiver core, I would argue. So why not rebuild? That's my mindset. I don't hate this move for the Seattle Seahawks.
I mean, I don't even really have to go into the F as much as I think that they could have gotten more for Russell Wilson.
Okay.
I definitely think they could have gotten more.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. If you had to get rid of him, if you had to do all that stuff, I don't think that they had to get rid of him. I think that there was certain control that they had to give Russell Wilson that they just were not willing to relinquish. Yeah. One of them being maybe time to move on from a Pete Carroll. Could have been anything like that. I would have rather liked to see the coach go before I saw that Hall of Fame caliber quarterback go.
I do agree with that.
And that's one of those things that it hurts me to see that. Yeah, you got 2 firsts. That's cool. I think the Broncos are going to be a damn good team because of the Russell Wilson success. And I'll tell you this, I know how Pete Carroll likes to draft in the back end of the first, and stuff gets a little weird back there. So I just don't know if you're going to be able to get 2 second-day picks because they're probably going to be reach picks anyways. That's just the way Seattle drafts. I'm sorry, it's unfair to grade them on how that's a pick that they haven't made yet, but I guess we'll just have to see.
I'd like to change mine to a B. I do agree. Like you brought me down to a B with the Seattle Seahawks because maybe they could have gotten more. I don't think they could have gotten that much more. You look at the deal for Matthew Stafford last year.
Stafford? Yeah,
Stafford got 3. It was basically 3 firsts for Stafford, and then you had to send, or no, excuse me, it was basically 2 firsts for Stafford, but you had to send an extra first to get rid of the Goff deal. Because they paid Goff way too much. That was a terrible contract, and they basically gave the Lions a first-round pick to take Jared Goff. That's how it was all explained to me, and that's how I think the NFL world viewed that trade.
So I think free DK Metcalf, trade him.
Yeah, honestly. And then I think they looked at that trade and said, okay, well, if Stafford was worth 2 firsts in all this, Russell Wilson, he's worth 2 firsts. Let's get a quarterback under center as well that we think does have talent. I mean, whether or not it ever becomes product on the field consistently, I don't know. But you can't tell me that Drew Lock doesn't have physical talent. He does. There's no argument against that.
I value him at he went for like a early 4th, late 3rd.
Yeah, you got a guy who can at least run offense, and they don't want to throw the ball a lot anyway. They want to run the ball. They want to play sound defense and just have a guy that doesn't fuck up. That's never been Drew Lock's forte, not fucking up. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not a hater on this move as much as I think I think you can have a trade that's a win-win, and then we'll see what happens in the future. If the Broncos aren't able to turn this trade into deep playoff runs, Seattle won. Right? I mean, because Seattle's not making deep playoff runs.
I'll say this, and it might be unfair for me to give them an F and say this. I don't think the Broncos get a Super Bowl.
I mean, that's why you do it.
They're a good team. They're competitive as all the others. I think that there's a chance. I do not think that they're as equipped as the Rams were when they acquired Stafford versus what the Broncos, when the Rams got Stafford, it put the NFL world and all of us saying, oh, we know what's happening, and look what happened.
And we still don't know, is Nathaniel Hackett going to be the guy? I really like Nathaniel Hackett a lot, so I'm excited about that. This will be, Nathaniel Hackett obviously worked with Aaron Rodgers for the past couple of years, but before that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, and he was the guy who made Blake Bortles make some money. He made Blake Bortles look good enough to get a second contract. So, I mean, there's a value there. But, yeah, that's all I have on Seattle. You want to move on to Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, throw out the A.
Yeah, give them, hey, they talked Brady into coming out of retirement. You get an A for that right there. Great story, terribly sad story for the guy who spent over $500,000 on Tom Brady's last touchdown ball, and then less than 24 hours later, Brady tweets out, "Oh, I'm coming back. That ball's worthless now."
So happy to see him back, man. I know your mixed feelings on it. I think it's cool.
I'm not. I don't know, man. Like I do agree. You put it in a way when we were playing games earlier. You put it in a way where it's like I do agree, and I'll let you say it. But like, what did you say?
Well, it's just seeing a legend of the game like that is something that I will always cherish, just because it's one of the things like LeBron James in basketball. You have certain just goats of the game that we got to see throughout our lifetimes, and for Tom Brady, the entirety of our football memory, Tom Brady has had a major impact on. And, it's a thing like, I wasn't the biggest Peyton Manning fan in the world. Didn't want to see him go, though. Every time you see someone of that caliber go, it's kind of like, dang, I got to see that. Now all we do is talk about it and reminisce and watch videos. We still get to see another year of, I'm hoping, good Tom Brady football. That is the biggest thing. I do truly care about the way that Tom Brady and that legacy holds true.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him fall apart. I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see him have any type of bad, Brett Favre's my favorite player of all time. I wish Brett could have left 2 years early.
Yeah. No, and I think that's where it was for me. Like, I was ready for a Tom Brady-less NFL, and when you said you were so happy he was back, you just mentioned it in passing. You're like, why? Like, it's just another year of Brady being Brady. Like,
I love it, man.
But yeah, I think to have that realization, you're absolutely right. Have that realization just for a second of like, hey, like, we're going to be sports fans our whole lives, but we're going to be talking about Tom Brady will be in our vocabulary, and we'll be talking about him for the rest of our lives, realistically, because he's one of the greatest we ever got to saw.
One day when our kids are our age,
we'll talk about Tom Brady,
and they're going to have their guy, whoever it is. Pat Mahomes Jr., whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And we're going to be sitting here like the people now saying, oh, Joe Montana is better than Brady. Well, we have our Brady to say it's just the same.
Yeah,
Michael
cool.
Jordan, LeBron, it's the next step.
It's cool. It is cool. It was fun to watch the past 20 years. At times it wasn't a lot of fun for me. You got to be a fan of a team in the NFC. I had to fucking play him twice a year, so that's
true.
We have different childhoods thinking about Tom Brady, at least. But man, yeah, he gets to go back in Tampa. He saw the gas prices and was like, man, I got to go back to work.
Colin Cowherd put it best. I think he had dad guilt. I think he was feeling kind of bad how much time and, he put so much work into his body and work ethic and all this stuff, making sure he's prepared for these games. And Cowherd said, he probably woke up one day at 10 and realized his boys are around teenage years now. And Giselle travels the world doing what she does with her modeling agency. And he was probably left just chilling at the house thinking, what do I do? What do I do now? And I know he has a lot of other things to do, but he went and saw a Premier League soccer match with Cristiano Ronaldo and was probably thinking these stands don't feel as good as watching someone of that super. He said, that's me out there. Like what Ronaldo does on that pitch is what I do on the field. I'm not ready to call it quits yet. You can call it quits. You have the rest of your life to do that. If there's a time that you know that you can play and you'll be good to do it, I think you should.
It was weird to see him quit. Now, the only sad part is he getting into the Favre era of, is it going to quit? Because we started this 4 years ago. Well, the year he got the MVP at 40 or something, we were all like, this might be his last year. And then this year, we heard none of that because he just kept throwing for 5,000 yards every year. So, like, why would we guess that he's going to quit?
And he just threw for 5.
And yeah, exactly. So then obviously right before the playoff game where they lost to the Rams, there were some mumblings like, maybe he might be done. And then after the game, weeks later, he's like, well, shit, like he hasn't said he's coming back. That's a sign. And then all of a sudden he's retired. Now he's unretired. I would hate to have it be just this circle of media around, is he going to quit or not?
But at the end of the day, tour season?
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, this is not going to be like Roethlisberger when he had his final season. Everybody knew it was his final season. He was a shell of himself. Brady is not to that point yet. Maybe
Brady hasn't declined.
Yeah, it feels like he's gotten better.
Statistically, he's coming off of one of the better years in his career ever. Should have been MVP.
I would sit here and argue like he throws the ball more impressively now than he did in 07. I mean, it's ridiculous to say that, and obviously, like, you could really probably break it down, frame by frame and tell me I'm wrong, but, like, I'm just as impressed, if not more.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people used to pick Brady apart saying that he would only dink and dunk and do certain things like that. Yes, he still does that.
He's throwing 20 yards down the field every play.
He's throwing piss missiles, darts, man.
Yeah, so, also Tampa Bay franchise tag Chris Godwin.
That's huge, too. Yeah, that is huge. Paying Carlton Davis, too.
Yeah, Carlton Davis getting paid, Ryan Jensen getting paid. It's just they're bringing the band back together again. I mean, shit, man, if they're healthy going into the playoffs, they weren't this past year, but if they are, it's tough. It's tough to tell him he won't get 8. I want to see Brady get
another.
Yeah, so it's tough to say he won't get 8. I don't want to see him get another. I don't want to see him in another Super Bowl personally, but that's just me.
Let's
just see. All right, we got 2 more left, then we'll be done with a very long podcast here. Tennessee Titans bringing in Harold Landry. Absolutely love that. 5 years, $87 million. Harold Landry is a guy that not enough people know their name. I absolutely love it alone. Brought in a center, 2 years, $14 million. Ben Jones, nothing major. Or I think they re-signed him.
Yeah, re-signed him.
And then Jamarco Jones from the Seahawks, another tackle. I'm giving it an A just for Harold Landry alone. Why do you hate it?
I don't hate it. I like the Harold Landry, so I give the Harold Landry signing an A. I give the lack of pushing for a wide receiver because that was a major problem. They were running bums. Injuries intact, whatever you want to call it, they were running bums. Right now, I don't know who their wide receiver 3 is. Yeah, we live in that state, and I know football very, very well, and I do not know who the Titans wide receiver 3 is off the top of my head anymore, unless it's Akini Westbrook, whatever that guy is. That's not...
Dede, yeah, or is it Dede Westbrook?
No, it's
somebody different.
Nikinla Westbrook. They took him in like the 4th round.
Yeah.
They got to do better than that. Mm-hmm. They have to do better than that. I think for the Titans, I want to see a little bit more splash moves. I want to see that secondary get a little bit more help. Yeah, love Harold Landry. That front 7 is good. You're going to be good.
Man, they don't need starters to win games. The Titans had the most injuries of all time this past year, and they're still winning games, man.
You're right.
Yeah, it's all about Ryan Fitzpatrick being the best quarterback. No, Ryan Fitzpatrick. They're bringing him back. Ryan Tannehill. Yes, I was thinking Dolphins.
And that is true, because no matter what note card I held up, at the end of the day, it's the argument of, do you need a top 5 quarterback to win? They were the number 1 seed, but when it comes to playoff time, I don't know.
They needed a top 5. Yeah, they could have used one in that game. All right, last one, Washington Commanders. You're getting a D when you bring in Carson Wentz. Bobby McCain 2-year deal of $11 million. Beyond that, that's really the only move we have so far.
Cut Landon Collins.
Landon Collins for Carson Wentz. Look, we'll see. They needed a quarterback. They absolutely needed a quarterback. They'll probably push for a quarterback in the draft as well. But yeah, when you have the quarterback market the way it is, the amount of the teams that upgraded the quarterback position in the past couple weeks feels like they downgraded. As wild as that is to say,
they definitely did, and the sports book reflects it. They were a 1-25 to win the Super Bowl before. They're a 1-75 now that it's set in stone with Wentz.
Well, that's wild. That's absolutely wild. We'll see what happens. That's it. That's all we got.
That's all we got, guys.
We're done.
A through F. Interactive.
Yeah, buddy.
Have fun with it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back next week. Peace.
7.